All right, guys, we are back. The Conquer Athlete podcast is back and live from a summer hiatus of fun activities and things going on that pulled us away from the podcast scene. But we are back with the trio of Tyler Cooke, Ryan Bucciantini, and myself, Jason Lyden. We are locked, cocked, and ready to rock, and we are
accurate.
That is quite the intro.
Accurate.
And we are ready to go. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We have zero plan and ideas of what we're going to discuss, except for the fact that Ryan drives a truck in America that's not American made.
Oh, we're back on this.
No, we're not. So what we got, boys? We got Tyler back for the games. Tyler and CrossFit 1124 did amazing out the games. We got Ryan back here. What are we going to talk about? What are we going to give the people? What do we got?
I mean, I think we should talk about that, honestly.
Recap the games.
Yeah.
Really? I feel like everybody and their mother has done a quick recap of the games, and everyone's kind of listened to that already.
I don't disagree with that, and everything I've heard's all kind of been the same thing, too.
What have you heard about
California weather's great, blah, blah, blah.
What have you heard about the recap of the games?
What have I heard about it?
Yeah.
Or what have I not heard about it?
What have you heard that's everyone's saying the same thing?
The weather was great. California's awesome. The venue was great. Nobody liked the schedule. I've heard both individuals and teams both bitch about the schedule because the teams were condensed and only did the mornings. We were done by like 12 every day. In the afternoon, the individuals didn't like it because all there was crammed in the afternoon. So everybody's bitched about that kind of universally. Everybody generally liked the programming. Not a big fan of half the events being mixed or single modality stuff, but not crazy. Had some like different thoughts on the weird tricks that the individuals did. Kind of the same.
I guess. I thought the streaming was absolutely terrible. The streaming was the worst streaming service I ever experienced in my life.
Was it that Flow Elite you're talking about in particular?
Oh my God, it was so bad. Like I'm watching it, and normally like when they do streaming, you know how they have like everyone's name up top and you could tell like who's making moves or who's where, what's happening, even though they're still probably only focused on like two people. Like Flow Elite had none of that. Like Flow Elite would focus on one or two people the entire time. And then I remember like in the day one for the redo workout, you know, the row into the 5 rounds of pull-ups and shoulder overhead, you know, they're focusing on one person. I forgot who it was. And all of a sudden, like 3 other people finished before this one person.
Finished the workout.
Yeah, and they finished the workout. Like, oh, and so-and-so's done, and so-and-so's done, and so-and-so's done. It's like, but it was terrible. It was, and in typical like fashion, like they show 1 or 2 people the entire time. And it's like, all right, we get it, but pan back to them. Learn how to like show the whole field and pan back to whoever you're being told to focus on. It's like, I was so disappointed in the streaming service. I thought it was absolutely terrible.
The problem with that is, to me, that is about the only way, figuring that out and making it watchable for the avid fan, and then for like my grandma who just wants to like check in, right? Like you've got to make it watchable. And the problem with what you just said, my biggest problem with everything you just said, focusing on athletes and missing the main person, that's like a operational thing. But you've got to have the scoreboard thing, that little ticker at the top of like, where's everybody at? And it's constantly moving. If you take that out, you're basically just showing people workout. You could show them in the regular, like just a bit. And no one, this is the part that like people don't want to admit. No one really cares about watching thrusters and pull-ups. You only watch because it's a race and you hope somebody falls off their bike. You hope somebody falls off the rig because there's a race and they're racing and they're trying to go fast and they miss a snatch. If you're just watching that and don't know where the race is, it's irrelevant. I didn't know that was the case. That is the dumbest thing I've ever.
Yeah, there was no ticker. It was terrible.
know.
Let's talk about some movements. I feel like we're gonna be negative.
Why.
I feel like I'm gonna be negative then, since everything was so positive.
I don't know why we just can't keep it simple. Like, keep it simple, stupid seems like a really easy thing to do at the game. And then it's like, okay, well, some of the events are on YouTube. Some of the events are on Flow Elite. And you're like bouncing back and forth, trying to just collect dollars. And it's like, dude, you don't need to focus on collecting dollars. You need eyes. Like, we are bleeding people right now. So why not just make it accessible? And like, why not just make the events less fucking complex? Make it CrossFit. It's 20 years. Make it CrossFit.
Here's the thing. 2007 Hopper, I loved it. I like when they redo stuff from the past to see the improvement, right? I think 100%. That's great. Trail run, I'm all for it. I think that's great. I think they did too much fucking running this one.
Too much. Yeah.
But the trail run, cool. CrossFit Total, love it. You know, that's a staple in the sport of CrossFit. I think that's great. Grass track race on a bike. I look at things like that and I'm like, half the field doesn't know how to ride a bike. Why are you going to make it in the grass? Like, just put it on the street. Have it be something that's kind of like more able to express fitness versus people who have had more exposure on a bike. Like, I don't know. I look at that and I think I wasn't a fan of that. Anybody else have anything
That's
to say on that?
funny. That's funny that you bring that up. I would argue in the exact opposite direction, right? If the original premise of the methodology was to be able to go express fitness in a bunch of different modalities, bike riding to me seems super foundational, right? If we spend so many hours on a stationary bike, it's dumb to me to not challenge people and put them on a regular bike, because like the average person can go and do that. So I want to see the elite go express it at a super high level.
I understand. No, so I agree with you. What I'm saying is putting it on a grass terrain, in my opinion, changes it slightly from fitness to skill. It's like it's 1 degree under trail riding. Like you can even argue that for trail running. Like that's slightly elevated from fitness into a skill component of it. And it's like, okay, well, are we going for fitness or are we going for skill and exposure?
Well, you can make that same
question.
argument with the rings, right? And like what we were doing on the rings this year.
Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. Yeah.
But I mean,
so let me ask you a question.
Hang on 1 second, Ty. 1 second.
Yep.
Look at the bike ride at Pendleton, right? Like they were like riding through sand. So at least there's like historical premise for being able to ride in unstable surfaces, right? Like I think you can look back at like previous games and be like, cool, this has popped up multiple times. You should be good at this point. And like riding a bike, how hard is it? If you're that caliber of athlete.
Okay, noted.
So
I think I'm in the middle.
Full downhill track.
I'm in the middle of the two of you guys. I think doing it on grass was fine. I hated the laps. 2 reasons why I hated the laps. Number one, it basically provided very little separation. So there's this giant pack pretty much moving to the last 2 laps. You finally got like a race. And now there was some element of that was cool. They interviewed Moritz Fietbig after whatever his name is, and they after him, and they were clearly drafting, which was cool. But I thought that it was we were there. We actually got to go off site. We actually got some tickets to go watch it. And we watched it, and it was like we were so excited to watch. And then like 3, 2, 1, go. And then it was 20 laps, and you were just like, all right, well, call me in 20 minutes. It was just unbelievably boring. So back to watching it, if you want eyeballs on it, don't put them on at least some zigzaggy where you're like, there's some skill to like riding the bike, and then there's some real separation. So let me ask you a question. This is more for the nerd. I'm asking more for the scientific level. In my mind, I just hate single modality tests. I don't mind them in certain areas, and you have to test like a weightlifting event on a Saturday night. The sandbag event is my favorite my favorite games workout ever was the sandbag. They did the 1 rep max sandbag clean. And when it came out, I was like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. And it ended up being super badass. However, I just think we had 9 single modality workouts. So my question is, when you're testing that, both from a viewership standpoint, it's boring to watch. The sprint was cool because it's a sprint, right? But even the trail run is like, you're testing this single modality stuff, the bag throw. And we can go through all these, I guess. But I just think, why are we not putting more of that in? Why do we have to test? And this is more from your programming minds. What are we gaining from testing so much in a single modality setting versus putting stuff together and testing it in a mixed modal? What's the benefit or drawback to either? I'm just not a big fan of watching one thing at a time. I think I'm an old school CrossFit homer.
No, I agree with you. I think they had too many monostructural events that were similar time domains.
I think I got cut off.
We could have gotten away with just 1 or 2, like having the long run, and then the bike, and then the 7,200 ski row. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Outside of, I need to fill 20 events, and I can't just throw 20 dynamic events in there. Like, maybe that was the mindset behind it, but I do think they were too close time domain wise. And realistically, I feel like a full on bat out of hell 1 mile bike ride sprint would have been a cool event. Mass start, mass chaos, and just full send. That would have been a cooler event than the 20 laps. I do think, sorry, one last point to Tyler's point. I do like single domain stuff because you can look at the elite and other sports and how they stack up. Like, we are slowly starting to inch up to what some of the best in single sport athletes are accomplishing, right? Like, you look at like rowing and how elite level CrossFitters how they compare to like elite level rowers. Clearly the elite level rowers are going to be better, but it's cool to see where we sit at in the sport. I think that's cool. And you only get that through single modality workouts.
Yeah, so I agree with Ryan. I like single modality tests a lot. Number one, if you're looking at an event over 20 events in a period of 4 days, whatever, if we look at it from an individual perspective, you have to have more single modality components in there than you normally would. Two, if you're looking at it from the claim to fame of CrossFit of having the fittest people in the world, well, if you keep everything in the same, in my opinion, multi-modality formatted workout, then you're the fittest inside that. Can't hold claim to other people who can do single modality stuff. I also do think that single modality work poses another level of resilience and grit that you don't get through multiple stuff in its own right. You know, like you're saying, like, you know, the 7K trail run, the sprint, the row to ski, they all pose their same level of resilience and fitness that you can't find when pairing that with other stuff due to just limiters, strengths, weaknesses, transitions, and breakage points. Now, with inside this event, I do think that they had too many that were similar time domains, you know, where it's kind of like, all right, we've kind of already done this. It's a little bit of overkill. I think there's other ways they could have gone about it for sure. But that's my opinion on that.
I think they could have gotten a little bit more creative in the scoring side of it, right? Like the 2K row into the marathon row will always be one of my favorite events.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was just like, listen, you can't just cruise through the marathon, right? Like we're going to force you to sprint and then see who makes a mistake or see who doesn't and how that impacts you on the long end. So now you're taking two total extremes that is never going to be seen in any other sport, like single modality sport. It's still single modality, but now you're introducing a level of strategy. And how well do you know yourself as a rower? Like, do you have any idea what you can hold over a marathon row after a 2K? That to me is the creative side of CrossFit and how to not just be like, hey, we're going to do 7,200 meters of running, right? Like, I mean, you could do the same thing, 400-meter run, and then you have to finish.
Bro, I want to fucking see a half marathon or marathon run. Fuck that. Like, throw that motherfucker in there, right? Like, that's what I want to see. But yeah, that's right.
I mean, whatever. People have debated this. Right, like the resurgent, or right, like this big emphasis on like machine work or monostructural work. Do you think, I mean, do you think Dave thinks about it at this deep of a level where he's like, maybe I got too deep into the strength side and I need to start recalibrating and pulling athletes back? Or is just really just, I'm going to add more machines?
You know, I don't know, man, because I know back in the second CrossFit Games, they were really short and heavy, and that was the insurgence of CrossFit football, but they had to do that. Because it was at the ranch, they didn't prepare for the amount of signups. They saw the signups like, fuck, we got to, and due to that, like they made it shorter and heavy. And then everyone's like, oh, we got to get stronger, CrossFit football. And then Dave was like, and I know this through conversations that I've had with him, he was like, well, fuck you guys. Now I'm going to make the next one like not heavy at all, right? So you look at like the cross game. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think they pay attention to that. I'm not sure, but that's a tough thing in this sport because whatever side of the scale they weigh on, and they always do weigh on a side. It never seems, there's a few times where I thought like the games are perfectly balanced. Like they had a couple times at Carson, and I think one time at Madison where I was like, man, these are fucking dialed fucking workouts. I actually think the COVID session was pretty fucking dialed too. I really like their balance there, but with how many times we've had the games, it's fewer times than not that I've said, oh, these are balanced. More often, I'm like, oh, this is fucking like totally skewed here and weighed there, which, you know, is it going to predicate the overall champion? No, but it can predicate a few other areas to it. And it might predicate the overall champion depending on the realm. Right? But back in those days with the thrones of Frazier and Froning and Tia, I mean, it didn't matter what the hell they did. Those guys were winning, right? Like everybody else depended upon that. But that does weigh on who's going to do good or not, in my opinion, right? And like this one was pretty machine dominant, right? Or it is very running dominant.
It is interesting seeing Sprague win this year. I think he's got a great body type.
Yeah, last year was machine dominant, right? And last year he didn't win. This year is running dominant and he won.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I believe he won the machine 7,200.
Yeah, that dude has an engine. Sure. Can't take anything away from him.
Yeah. But it was really interesting. Like it just going back to what you're saying about like the riches and the mats and like their anthropometrics and how much mass that they carry. Like that's not James.
No.
Like they don't look the same. So it's interesting kind of the evolution of body type when you start looking at evolution of, okay, well, like, what have we been biasing the past couple of years? And like, does next year go totally back to what we were doing in other years? And now we're like, no, we are short and heavy. And you start seeing people go back that direction.
Yeah.
That'd be cool for Tyler.
We love it. We love that. Get away
To
from
me, that's
machines.
the hardest conceptualization for coaches, programmers, and athletes, because there's nothing defined, which is also like their scapegoat. I say scapegoat, but I hope everyone knows what I mean. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, they could literally program and format and alter literally any way they want. And by definition, it's fine because it's the unknown and unknowable, right? So, but because of that too, the ability of preparation and the type of athlete and those fringe athletes will vary every year, right? Yeah, the cream of the crop will be there, but the fringe
Always be the top.
teams, the fringe athletes will vary year to year, depending upon the biases and where people fall. And even like depending upon what qualifier they go to and the biases of that qualifier, right? And it's like, I think that's the hard thing. And that's the difference between this sport and every other sport.
I've heard people argue that they want to like identify qualities, and you're like, okay, here's our list of qualities that we know that's going to get trained at every games, right? We're going to have an absolute strength event. We're going to have a strength endurance event. We're going to have, a speed event. And then we're going to have like energy system specific events. And like, I think that's great. I think you could do that, right? You're just like, hey, this is the label. And then it's up to CrossFit to, fit in the implement and whatnot. But I feel like it gets confusing with how like you define strength, and like people define strength kind of like different ways. And, maybe CrossFit has, broader definitions that they would use internally for something like that. But I don't know if that actually solves the problem, or if that gets too far away from the sport. Like making it that granular, does that take away from like the fun aspect of the sport?
Tyler, what do you think?
Well, I think the fun aspect of it is a tricky one that they've always got to take into account. And I guess that might be where I'm sitting the most. Again, asking you two science nerds about like the programming, like if you're truly trying to define the fittest, to your point earlier, Jason, is like, yeah, but I'm thinking about like growing the sport and what makes it cool to watch. And I do think, Ryan, there's some touches of like, if someone tunes in and watches a 400-meter sprint, they can say, "Oh, I know what that's supposed to look like because I watched the Olympics."
You're breaking up like crazy.
Shit, dude, I am.
Now you're not, but you were that whole time.
Yeah, I know what you're. Ty, I know what you're saying. I don't know, man. I don't know, like, the brand, what does the brand need to survive? And like, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that like the brand is dying or anything like that. Like, I think we're in like a transition period, but it's like, what's important, getting eyes on the games or getting people inside the affiliates?
I think they serve each other.
No. I agree with you. I totally agree with you in that, but I think that does yield to the games being a little bit less complex, right? Like it's if we are trying to attract new eyeballs, you can't make the game so complex that new eyes can't digest it. They're like, what the hell is going on? And then you throw in a crappy flow with like Flow Elite, and people have no idea who the athletes are. There's no storytelling of who the athletes are. You have no idea what the workout is. You have no idea where the athlete stands inside of the workout. And then people just check out. They're like, cool, these people are insanely fit. It's clear that they're insanely fit. I still have no idea what they're doing. Yeah. And like, they'll run the affiliate ads, they run the affiliate ads inside of the events, and like they show average people. And I think that's phenomenal. But the more digestible I think you can make the games, it does bring people in and be like, dude, I may want to try to do something like that. And that brings people into the affiliate.
Let me ask you guys a question. I think it pertains to this topic. What's the difference now in regards to like what you're just saying, the games, how the games are structured, the people who do the games, how the community views the people that do the games, etc., versus the heyday where like the stadiums this past games, like they're barely half filled, right?
Empty.
And you go back to Carson and you go back to the beginning stages in Madison and, it was packed. Stadiums are packed, standing room only. Communities were alive and thriving. The way people viewed the games and the people who competed at the games were different than now, right? What do you think was the difference? What was the breaking point or the changing point?
Storytelling and firing the media team. I think it can honestly all be traced back to that. They were phenomenal storytellers, and there was less bullshit. There was less bullshit podcasts of just people shitting on everything. And to be fair, we're kind of shitting on it right now, but there's like entire podcasts that live their life in the drama of the sport.
So you think it's more of the storytelling around the athletes themselves?
Yeah, dude. Like Fantasy Island, and you go back to like when Rich was really dominant, and he had like a full-on like movie of them in Cookeville, like him holding a shotgun and like bombs exploding in the back, and like that was just cool. And like you look at athletes and like, you know, Bridges and like all these guys, everybody kind of had their own story. I don't know. I think that was peak CrossFit. And it like, I don't know, it felt dirty. Like it felt rebellious. Like we were like, everything was like,
felt cool.
Fuck NSCA, fuck all these other companies out there, like fitness companies that were telling CrossFit everything we were doing was wrong. And it didn't follow any sort of principles, blah, 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 blah. And everybody like crapped on it, except they were making insanely fit individuals. And then they finally caught on and they saw, you know, millions of people, you know, whatever, hundreds of thousands of people doing the open. And they're like, wait, maybe we should actually look into this.
I think the media team and the stories around those, they did such a good job of making these. And also, by the way, you had really cool characters. Like the guys you just listed off, Froning, Bridges, and
100%.
They were badass.
They were cooler. They were cooler than the new age
But
guys.
But we do have a good group. Like that Boys Interrupted pod, like those guys, they're cool to follow. They have their own, they have to do their own media stuff. And so like the stuff that CrossFit's putting out, which it is an own affiliate. So like you would say, well, man, why aren't you, everything we watch from like CrossFit HQ or the is all just everyday people stuff. I think they need to do more of like, hey, these are our stars. These are the ones that you can strive to be and follow that. Because to your point, that's why people are going to watch, because they want to see Rich and Matt and T and all these people go do it. We've got to pump these. Like right now, who's the woman's star? Kringle just crushed it. With all due respect, like personality wise, does she have what it takes to make to be followed? I don't know. Like those guys do. They're cool to watch and they're fun. We've got to do a better job of pumping all that up to make it cool to watch. Otherwise, there's nothing to watch.
That's funny.
You're just watching
I think
people
the
exercise.
exact opposite. I think all the guys are boring as shit.
But
Really?
I heard a lot of people
dude,
talk
they're
about how like I heard a lot of people mention like the games and the athletes and workouts like so unrelatable that it's not even interesting to people anymore. Like, is that true? Because I look at it and I'm like, I don't think the games and the workouts and mans are that much different than what they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like, okay, like the front row support, back row support. Okay, I get it. But like my point is like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people would look at it and be like in astonishment. Wow, that's fucking crazy, right? That's part of us. Now there's almost this undertone message where they look at it and like, oh, this is stupid. It's way too hard. Like, why would I ever do this? I'm going to go run 5 1Ks and do half squat wall balls.
That right there tells you the exact story. I feel like if you just look at where Hyrox is and the amount of people Hyrox is drawing, that to me tells me that people think it's completely unobtainable, right?
But
like,
it's no different than what it used to be.
Yeah, but I mean, times change, right? Like times change, the brand changes. The brand is not what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? Like it's completely evolved from that. And this like the original brand was like, listen, we do hard shit. Like we do it because we think it's good for us, right? And like we kind of like push the boundary. And now I just like, maybe society's just like burn out from that. And they're like, I need something I don't need to think that hard about. And Hyrox, you don't need to think that hard about it. You can go hit a Hyrox specific training session and it's not that complex. You're like, I got to train for 75 different movements within CrossFit. That can be mind numbing at times.
So that brings up I've had this conversation with some folks about this before that I think, and I'm just basing this off of like a few people I've seen, right? Where I think different now than 5 years ago, maybe. I think everybody wants to be, I got to be very careful here. I think everybody wants to be, don't be careful. I think everybody nowadays, for whatever reason, it's become cool. Everybody wants to be an athlete. Everybody wants to post their training. Oh yeah, I got up at 5 a.m. this morning. Here's my splits from my Strava run and this and that. And we're talking like everyday people, moms and dads and kids and single people. And I think in CrossFit, the games takes so much to get there. But to go run a half marathon or marathon or do a high rocks or whatever, the barrier for that is so much lower of like anybody can do it. And then all of a sudden now they're training on a daily basis for their goal, which is like, hey, I did this. I have a friend of mine who did this 50 miler. And it's like, man, that's awesome. And then I looked into like some of these other people doing 50 miles. I'm like, yeah, but you're walking half of it. Like, did you run that race? It's like, well, not really. You walked half of it, right? And I think there's this barrier to entry of what everybody now like wants to be able to post. Like, I'm training for this thing. Well, our thing is a professional thing. Our CrossFit Games is a professional sport. A lot of these people that I'm seeing are like, I've seen another friend of mine was doing CrossFit, was at our affiliate, moved. He's now doing like high roxes and really trying to chase his best time in high rocks, but like, it's not good. But I think the barrier to entry is so much lower for what's considered to be like, oh, good. And you can now have permission to call yourself an athlete. And here's my splits and here's my training for the day. And like, I wonder if there's some of that going on that wasn't there 5 years ago. Like, if you just wasn't that cool.
I want to hear my 3 things.
Please.
Here are my 3 things, guys. I think there's 3 reasons. And that I just talked to I didn't pose a question knowing these 3 things. As you guys are talking and listening to you guys talk, I formulated why I think it was. Number 1, Rich Froning. Every guy wanted to be him and every girl wanted to bang him. Plain and simple, right? And it's like, honestly, like even straight dudes look at Rich like, damn, I might think about taking a twirl at that if the moment was right.
Did you see he just got a tattoo? Another like arm tattoo?
It was what it was. Everybody wanted to watch him with his shirt off, working out, doing and just destroying everybody in the world and be like, wow, that dude's awesome, right? It's like the Michael Jordan of basketball. Basketball sucked before Bird and Magic came on. Then they came on and then it got popular and it dipped a little bit. Then Jordan comes around and it's like this surgence.
It blew it up.
Number 2, the media. I do agree with that 100%. I think the media back then was legit. Think about back in the day when Castro got in a van with Lipson, Orlando, and Grundler, and they drove around fucking California, coast to coast, doing workouts. You guys remember that?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Like the media team did awesome stuff, and that helped drive it. And they got rid of that, and the media has sucked ever since. And lastly, love me or hate me for this one, Greg Glassman and Dave Castro. Glassman, love him or hate him, everyone has their opinions of him. He was steering the ship and he knew how to steer the ship and he knew how to talk and he knew how to present and he knew who to fight and how to fight. And he knew how to do things that were like, have everybody like throw their flag up, right? Being like, yeah, this is me. This is who I'm with, right? This is who I'm riding with. And that catapulted the world and changed the world of fitness. And when Dave had full run at the games and how he would market and talk about it and love him or hate him for it, like he got fucking eyes on it, right? And if you think about all those 3 things, they're all lost, right? The media and how we portray athletes and the stories they tell and all that stuff is gone. Obviously, Greg and Dave's still there, but Dave has his fucking balls in a cinch by somebody. Like,
I was about to say, he's tempered.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then Rich, you had Rich and then you had Rich to Matt, right? Rich was like Captain America. Then Matt was like, the Winter Soldier, where it's like, shit, what's going on here type thing, right? And it's like, you kind of saw that transpire. And then after that, it's kind of been like, who the fuck is it, right? And it's like you guys said it yourselves, right? There's no dude every dude is like, I want to be that guy. And every girl's like, damn, take that shirt off again, right? There's no one like that right now at all.
I mean, guys, it may just be, it may have to be me.
I agree. 100%.
Someone's got to do it.
This means he's coming back. He's coming back.
Callie, that's not what I said. Callie, that's not what I said.
Callie, he said he's going to be a master's athlete.
That's not what I said.
Yo, Tyler's going to show up in 2027 with Galatians 11:24 on his ribs.
Hey guys, I got this.
Something to your point, Jay, though, I think we have to look at the average person, right? And I do think the average person likes an ability to shift, right? Within like a training year, they're like, hey, I want to do a high rocks. I want to do a marathon. I want to go do a CrossFit competition. I want to go do like all of these different things. And then if we look at the competitive CrossFit space is now super specific. Like from a specificity standpoint, we're super sport focused. Like we relatively have a good relative understanding of what that demand is. And that doesn't yield great to the average person's ability to go and shift. You have to be super dialed on just doing the CrossFit thing, right? And I think that feels kind of like constricting to a lot of people. And that's ultimately what I think made the early affiliates so potent, was the emphasis on GPP style training, right? And people are going to argue that, okay, well, the affiliates are doing GPP. I think most of the affiliates, especially the ones that are following the big templates, right, of the big players in the sport right now, all you're doing is watered down sport specific competition training. That's all you're doing. And we've gotten away from seeing workouts of go for a hike, go ride a bike, go paddleboarding, go try something new, go play a game of pickup basketball, go dig a hole and then fill it in and dig another hole, right? Like go do some of the more obscure things that we saw inside of main site in the early years. We just don't see that in any of the big box affiliates anymore, or the affiliates that are using the big name program design, because we've lost the identity of GP.
I totally agree. I think the programming has gotten, I was going to say this earlier. It's funny. I think a portion, and I wear this a lot on myself because I wonder if I'm the problem, because I can only see my affiliate.
You are the problem.
My affiliate, I am the problem, for the record, but I'm going to be the savior as well. I'm kidding. I think within our affiliate, the culture has totally shifted. Early on, we had people that were fired up about the open. We had people that are fired up about local competitions. I think local competitions, for the most part, at least in our area, is almost dead. They've now shifted to these like regional level competitions that are like a little bit bigger, and you maybe drive 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, they're huge, and they're 2 days, but they're a bigger commitment. Used to do, when we were like coming up, you would do like 3 or 4 competitions in the summertime because they were just a Saturday three workout banger, right? But people were more excited about it. Nowadays, man, like they got fired up to watch the games and stuff, but beyond that, they just didn't really care. Like the team would come into town, they're like, oh, cool, there's a team. Like, dude, if I saw a regional level athlete 10 years ago in my old affiliate, I thought they were Rich Froning. I mean, I don't want to go hang out with them, right? And so I think for whatever reason, and if that's the case, now I've got a crop of people that will just point blank tell us, hey, I'm not really interested in muscle up at all. What's the scale? And we'll be like, well, maybe you should try to, like, skill acquisitions are really important. Like you should try. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, like you're growing. I'm not going to force a muscle up on you, but that is something. And then all of a sudden you look up in 6 months and they're still doing ring row push up. And you're like, dude, that's not going to progress the thing. And so there is this, and maybe that's what I said. It may be more on me driving the culture of, hey, we all need to try to get better and we all need to try to aspire to get all the things. But there is a faction of people that just don't want to. They just want that low barrier of entry, like, hey, I'm here and that's great, but I don't really care about the hard stuff. That's not what we do. That is so antithetical from what we used to do. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was like, I want them all. Give me all the muscle ups, right? It's a little different vibe.
Well, I'm sure someone's going to argue with me about this, but I would argue the ring muscle up is a sport specific movement, right? And like,
it
is that
very much so.
Right? Like, does that really have a place inside of GPP?
Your point is like, why would we do that? That's more for the sports side. Leave that out and let's focus more on the GPP stuff to make it more interesting for them.
I don't think we have enough offerings of it. Like, I get it, right? Like CrossFit is accessible to everybody. You can scale it. You can scale it down. I don't have a great answer, but I think we have maybe not a poor definition of GPP. I think we have a poor understanding amongst all the coaches of what GPP actually is, right? And you get a lot of super gung-ho people that are maybe new coaches that have just learned the methodology and, they see the sport and they saw success within that, but they may not understand the progression of GPP and where that fits within inside of a gym or inside of a training program. And I think that's what kind of deters people. Like, I don't know. Man, the old school.
So we had another example.
The old school dirty stuff.
Boys, I got to go, but I think you guys should keep this going because this is actually a really good conversation.
We'll just come back. We'll do a part 2.
Hey, I'll just jump in 15 minutes late. It's great.
Next time, I want your shirt off. I want Galatians on your ribs, and I want the new.
Somebody's got to save this thing, man. It might as well be me.
It might as well be you.
I'll call it now. Next time, we're going to define GPP for the affiliates.
Okay.
You writing it down?
Yes.
We're going to forget.
I'm in the RAM. I can't do that.
Have you guys seen the new Spider-Man?
Not a big
I'm
comic
a 40-year-old man.
I'm going to be honest.
Highly recommend that. I
Yeah,
cried.
it's
I
not a
cried.
big-
I shed a tear 3 times.
as much. Yeah, I have more respect for you than I do a lot of people in the world, Jason. I mean, a lot of people. Don't tell.
Bro, I shed a tear 3 times. A phenomenal
Don't
movie.
tell.
One of the greatest movies I ever saw in my life.
That's not going to save CrossFit.
It's all right. My son was watching Cool Runnings the other day for the first time,
Love
and I
it.
definitely got a little sad when they flipped the sled and then picked it up and walked down the ice.
Yeah.
I was like, we need more of this.
Yeah, bro, that more of that and less Spider-Man.
Guys, it was a great podcast. Sorry, I got to cut
All
it
right,
short,
boys.
everybody, for listening. Hey, we didn't swear today.
Yeah, right.
That was good.
We swore?
That was good.
Are you kidding?
Who swore? I didn't swear.
I think there was a few in the middle there. I was good. I didn't.
There was a lot.
By who? Me?
Me,
You. I didn't swear.
pussy.
I want that. I want
I'm proud of you, Jason. I'm proud of you.
All right, guys. See you guys on the next one. Later. Folks, stop.
Sorry I was late, boys.